Competing Against Luck by Clayton M. Christensen. In Competing Against Luck, Clayton M. Christensen introduces you to a radical rethinking of innovation that dismisses chance as the key to success. Instead, he argues, the path to sustainable growth lies in deeply understanding what causes customers to choose certain products or services. This understanding revolves around what Christensen calls the jobs to be done theory, a concept that centers on the idea that customers hire products to solve specific problems or fulfill particular needs. He dismantles the myth that innovation is a roll of the dice, replacing it with a framework rooted in causality, intent, and clarity. By internalizing this methodology, you learn to escape the unpredictability of markets and gain a powerful tool to design solutions that matter. This book challenges your assumptions, provokes a shift in perspective, and arms you with actionable insight into why some ideas thrive while others fail. The foundation for lasting innovation isn't luck. It's understanding human behavior at its core. Lesson 1. Define the job. You must begin by identifying the specific job that your product or service is being hired to perform. Without this clarity, even the most innovative features and carefully crafted designs can miss their mark. Clayton Christensen illustrates this principle through the story of McDonald's milkshakes, where a simple product became a profound case study in consumer behavior. When a McDonald's team sought to boost milkshake sales, they initially focused on product attributes like flavor, texture, and size. They asked customers what improvements they'd like, but no significant progress followed. It wasn't until the team stepped back and observed how and why customers bought milkshakes that the real insight emerged. Most milkshake buyers were morning commuters, individuals who needed something easy to consume with one hand while driving, something that would stave off hunger until lunchtime, and something that would break the monotony of their journey. The milkshake's thickness, portability, and ability to last the entire commute made it the perfect candidate for this job. Once the team understood this, they refined the milkshake, not for taste alone, but to better fulfill this specific role. The sales improved because McDonald's wasn't selling a milkshake, they were selling a reliable, engaging, and hunger-quenching morning companion. This principle doesn't just apply to milkshakes. Look at how Steve Jobs transformed the music industry with the iPod. He wasn't selling an MP3 player, nor did he pitch its technical specs as the main draw. Instead, Jobs framed the iPod as 1,000 songs in your pocket, a revolutionary idea that spoke to the emotional and functional job customers had: the need for portable, personalized, and instantly accessible music. It wasn't about hardware, it was about enabling people to carry their entire music library with them, redefining how they experienced soundtracks in their daily lives. The clarity of the iPod's job is what sets it apart from countless other devices that, on paper, offered similar or better technology. History provides further examples of how defining the job determines success or failure. Take Kodak, a giant in the photography industry that fell from grace because it misunderstood its customers' evolving jobs. For decades, Kodak thrived because people wanted tangible memories captured through film and photographs. However, as digital technology emerged, the job shifted. Customers still wanted to preserve memories, but in a faster, more shareable, and accessible way. Kodak clung to its film business, failing to adapt to the new job. Customers were hiring products for instant, digital memory capture. Contrast this with Instagram, which redefined the job of photography by making it social and instantaneous. Today, Instagram dominates a space Kodak once owned, proving the importance of adapting to changing jobs. The idea of defining the job also resonates with how Airbnb disrupted the hospitality industry. Traditional hotels operated on the assumption that travelers wanted consistent amenities like room service and on-site restaurants. However, Airbnb recognized that many travelers were hiring accommodations not for luxury, but for authenticity and the desire to live like a local. By defining this job clearly, Airbnb crafted a platform that connected travelers with unique stays in real homes, delivering an entirely different kind of value than hotels. They didn't compete by offering more pillows or better breakfasts. They redefined the job and built their service around it. Defining the job isn't just about products, it applies equally to services, ideas, and even leadership. Consider Martin Luther King Jr.'s "I Have a Dream" speech. King didn't simply offer an abstract vision of equality, he defined the job of the civil rights movement as addressing systemic injustice and providing a clear moral direction for a nation in turmoil. His message wasn't vague or theoretical. It spoke directly to what people were hiring the movement to do: dismantle segregation and inspire collective action. His clarity of purpose rallied millions, proving that defining the job is as critical in social innovation as it is in business. Your takeaway is clear and actionable. Always frame your product, service, or idea as a solution to a specific, unmet need in someone's life. Step back from assumptions. Dig deep into the context of your customers' decisions, and refine your offering to solve the most important problem they face. The job your product fulfills must be so clear that it resonates on an emotional and practical level, compelling customers to choose it over any alternative. Don't settle for making something good, make something indispensable. Lesson 2. Understand context. Innovation doesn't exist in a vacuum. It thrives when rooted in the specific circumstances of real people's lives. Christensen emphasizes that if you ignore the broader context in which your customers make decisions, you risk designing solutions that miss the mark entirely. Context is the soil in which customer decisions grow. Understanding it deeply gives you the tools to create innovations that thrive. The story of IKEA is a powerful example. IKEA didn't build its empire by merely offering quality furniture. It revolutionized the entire process of furnishing a home. Customers don't just want furniture. They want to solve the problem of making their living spaces functional and stylish without wasting time, money, or energy. Traditional furniture retailers required weeks for delivery, often charged exorbitant prices, and offered little in terms of user-friendly assembly. IKEA stepped into this context and turned it on its head. With flat-pack designs, in-store warehouses, and streamlined self-service, IKEA gave customers exactly what they needed: convenience, affordability, and a sense of control. IKEA didn't just design products. It designed an ecosystem where customers could furnish their homes quickly and affordably, with styles they enjoyed. Now contrast this with Kodak's failure to adapt its business model to the context of a shifting technological landscape. For decades, Kodak dominated the photography industry, thriving in a world where taking pictures meant buying film and printing physical photos. But the advent of digital cameras and, later, smartphones changed the context entirely. Customers still wanted to capture memories, but they no longer needed film or physical prints to do so. Kodak clung to its outdated business model, failing to recognize that the job customers were hiring products to do had changed. Meanwhile, companies like Canon and Sony adapted to the digital revolution. And later, Instagram and Snapchat redefined how people interacted with images altogether. Kodak's inability to understand the evolving context caused it to lose relevance in an industry it once ruled. A similar lesson can be learned from the rise of Netflix and the fall of Blockbuster. Blockbuster failed not because it lacked content or brand recognition, but because it misunderstood the evolving context in which customers accessed entertainment. Netflix recognized that people wanted more than just movies. They wanted convenience, choice, and flexibility. By offering a subscription-based model and eventually pivoting to streaming, Netflix aligned itself with the way people consumed entertainment in a digital on-demand age. Blockbuster's insistence on late fees and physical store visits made it obsolete in a world where customers demanded frictionless solutions. The lesson is clear. Even a superior product can't survive if it fails to align with its customers' changing realities. Understanding context also means looking at culture, economic, and technological trends that shape customer behavior. Consider the success of Peloton, which capitalized on a confluence of trends: a growing focus on fitness, a rise in home-based activities, and the increasing integration of technology into personal routines. Peloton wasn't just selling exercise bikes, it was selling a connected experience where users could take live classes, engage in a community, and access fitness on their terms. The product fits seamlessly into the context of busy lives, pandemic-driven home habits, and a cultural shift towards self-care and wellness. Compare this with traditional gym chains, which struggled to adapt during the same period because their models relied on in-person attendance and fixed schedules that didn't match the new context. You must immerse yourself in the realities your customers face and design not just products, but ecosystems that align with their lives. It's not enough to focus on what your product does. You must understand when, where, and why your customers use it. Context informs design, marketing, and strategy. Ignore it, and you risk irrelevance. Embrace it, and you create solutions that integrate seamlessly into people's lives. Always study the circumstances under which decisions are made. What forces are influencing your customers? What constraints or opportunities shape their choices? These questions should guide every decision you make. Build with context in mind, and your innovations will not only solve problems, but also fit naturally into the lives of those you aim to serve. Lesson 3. Focus on progress. Customers don't buy products for the sake of owning them. They engage with your offerings to achieve progress in their lives. Progress is the real currency of innovation, and your ability to deliver it determines your relevance and impact. Clayton Christensen underscores this with the example of Khan Academy, a platform that redefined online learning. Students don't flock to Khan Academy for the novelty of video lessons. They come seeking a means to move forward, whether by passing a difficult math exam, gaining foundational knowledge for higher education, or mastering a subject to unlock better career opportunities. Khan Academy succeeds because it doesn't just disseminate information, it structures its offerings to guide users toward specific, measurable goals. Its free and accessible nature removes barriers, but its real value lies in its ability to adapt to individual progress paths, ensuring students experience tangible improvement. The principle of progress is evident in the success of Tesla. Tesla didn't just design an electric car. It reshaped the concept of what driving could mean. Early electric vehicles were marketed primarily as eco-friendly alternatives, often sacrificing performance and style in the process. Tesla reframed the conversation by making its cars aspirational, powerful, and cutting-edge. The Tesla Model S wasn't just a green vehicle, it was a luxury experience, complete with instant acceleration, sleek design, and advanced features like autopilot. By doing so, Tesla didn't merely appeal to environmentally conscious consumers, it tapped into a broader desire for progress. the ability to embrace sustainable technology without compromising performance or status. Tesla's customers don't just buy cars. They invest in a vision of personal and global advancement. History offers another vivid example of progress-focused innovation in the story of the printing press. Johannes Gutenberg didn't invent movable type to create a product. He invented it to democratize knowledge. In the context of his time, books were rare and expensive, accessible only to the elite. The printing press enabled the mass production of written works, allowing literacy and education to spread across social classes. It wasn't just the machine that mattered, it was the progress it enabled, access to information, and the empowerment of individuals to learn, think, and contribute to society. The printing press changed the trajectory of human civilization because it was designed to move people forward. Contrast this with industries or companies that fail to focus on progress and instead fixate on features or tradition. Consider the downfall of BlackBerry. At its peak, BlackBerry dominated the smartphone market with its physical keyboard and robust email functionality. But as Apple introduced the iPhone, customers' definition of progress shifted. They wanted not just communication tools, but devices that integrated seamlessly into every aspect of their lives. Music, apps, touch screens, and intuitive design. BlackBerry's resistance to evolving its product to match this new vision of progress led to its decline. The lesson here is that clinging to what worked in the past can blind you to the progress your customers now seek. The power of progress is also evident in cultural movements. The civil rights movement, for instance, wasn't just about achieving equality in the abstract, it was about tangible, measurable progress. Whether it was desegregating schools, securing voting rights, or eliminating discriminatory laws, the movement's leaders framed their efforts around specific advancements that resonated with individuals' lived experiences. Martin Luther King Jr.'s message didn't just inspire hope, it laid out a vision of step-by-step progress that people could work toward and see unfolding in their lifetimes. Progress, whether in business or society, captures attention, motivates action, and builds loyalty because it aligns with humanity's intrinsic drive to grow and improve. You must shift your mindset from selling features to selling transformation. Ask yourself, what does progress look like for your customers? How does your product or service help them achieve it? A great product isn't defined by what it does. It's defined by how it changes the user's life. Build with this in mind. And you won't just create offerings, you'll build relationships. Progress cements loyalty because when people associate your product with their growth, they return to you again and again. Help your customers move forward. And you won't just gain their business, you'll earn their trust and advocacy. Lesson 4. Embrace imperfect solutions. Successful innovators understand that chasing perfection can be the enemy of progress. The most impactful solutions prioritize functionality and immediate value over flawless execution. Clayton Christensen illustrates this with the story of Intuit's Quicken, a financial software that wasn't the most advanced or feature-rich product on the market, but achieved widespread success because it addressed a critical, frustrating job, helping people manage their personal finances. Quicken didn't focus on complex capabilities instead. It offered simplicity and usability, allowing even the most financially inexperienced users to feel in control of their budgets by making its product intuitive and approachable. Intuit succeeded where others overcomplicated or overlooked the user's real needs. The power of Quicken lay not in technical perfection, but in its ability to solve a problem in a way that felt effortless for its users. Contrast this with Microsoft's Zune, a product that, on paper, had superior features to the Apple iPod. The Zune offered high-quality hardware and competitive specifications, yet it failed to resonate with customers. Why? Because it didn't address a compelling job better than its alternatives. The iPod wasn't just a music player, it was a gateway to an ecosystem of simplicity, discovery, and personalization, epitomized by iTunes' seamless integration. The Zune's superior specs couldn't overcome its inability to deliver a cohesive, meaningful solution to the customer's desire for easy, enjoyable music management. This highlights a critical lesson. Perfection in isolation means little if it doesn't address the user's most pressing needs. The principle of embracing imperfect solutions also finds validation in history. Take the Wright brothers, whose early airplanes were far from perfect. Their rudimentary machines were clunky and unreliable, often crashing or barely achieving sustained flight. But their focus wasn't on perfection, it was on functionality, proving that they controlled powered flight was possible. This is incremental. Imperfect progress laid the groundwork for an entire industry, while better-funded competitors like Samuel Langley, who focused on building a flawless machine from the outset, failed to deliver anything usable. The Wright brothers' willingness to iterate and improve over time, rather than striving for perfection before launching, exemplifies the importance of putting functionality first. Another compelling example is Spotify's rise in the music streaming industry. When Spotify launched, its platform was far from perfect. Users faced occasional bugs, limited song libraries, and uneven streaming quality. But Spotify prioritized delivering value quickly, offering customers the ability to instantly access a massive library of music for free or through affordable subscriptions. The platform solved the job of making music accessible anywhere, anytime, legally and conveniently. Over time, Spotify refined its service, adding personalized playlists, podcast integration, and improved algorithms. Had Spotify waited to perfect every aspect of its service before launching, it would likely have ceded the market to competitors. Instead, by embracing an imperfect but functional solution, Spotify carved out a dominant position and built long-term customer loyalty. This lesson is not just about technology or business, it applies to creative and personal endeavors as well. Consider how J.K. Rowling wrote the first Harry Potter book. She faced numerous challenges, from limited resources to constant rejections from publishers. The initial draft of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone wasn't flawless, but it carried a compelling story that solved a job for readers, delivering an escape into a magical world. It was the story's core functionality, its ability to capture imaginations and transport readers, that mattered, not the perfection of its initial execution. This imperfect beginning grew into one of the most successful literary franchises of all time. Your role as an innovator, creator, or leader isn't to design flawless products or solutions. It's to craft offerings that immediately and meaningfully improve your customer's life. Focus on functionality over perfection and launch before you feel fully ready. Imperfection invites iteration, adaptation, and improvement, while perfection often leads to paralysis and missed opportunities. Remember, the best solutions evolve over time, shaped by real-world use and feedback. Prioritize what delivers value today, and I trust that refinement will follow. Embrace imperfection not as a limitation, but as a strategy, and you'll find success in progress rather than unattainable ideals. Lesson 5. Align teams around jobs. Organizational alignment is the foundation of sustained success when implementing the jobs to be done framework. Without it, even the most well-intentioned innovations can falter. Clayton Christensen highlights this with the example of the Mayo Clinic, a healthcare institution that redefined the patient experience by aligning its teams around the singular goal of improving health outcomes. Unlike traditional hospitals, which often operate in silos with departments focusing on their specific specialties, the Mayo Clinic took a different approach. Doctors, nurses, administrators, and specialists worked as multidisciplinary teams, centering their efforts on the patient's needs rather than their individual areas of expertise. This alignment resulted in a seamless, patient-centered system that delivered not only better medical outcomes, but also a superior overall experience. By breaking down silos, the Mayo Clinic ensured that every touchpoint in the patient journey served a unified purpose, solving the job of restoring health. Contrast this with the fragmented nature of many traditional hospitals, where departments often act independently, prioritizing their own objectives rather than the patient's overall well-being. In such systems, a patient might see multiple specialists, each offering input without coordination, leaving the patient confused or underserved. This lack of alignment creates inefficiencies, frustration, and suboptimal outcomes. The Mayo Clinic's model proves that when teams align around the customer's job, in this case, the patient's health, the organization becomes exponentially more effective. This principle extends far beyond healthcare. Consider the success of Apple under Steve Jobs. Apple's strength didn't lie in having the best engineers or designers working independently, it lay in their alignment around delivering seamless, user-friendly products. Teams across hardware, software, marketing, and retail worked toward the same goal, creating an intuitive, integrated user experience. The iPhone, for example, wasn't just a product of cutting-edge technology, it was the result of a tightly aligned organization where every team understood their role in serving the user's job. Whether it was the sleek physical design, the smooth iOS interface, or the customer service experience, every element reinforced Apple's singular purpose. This alignment turned the iPhone into a groundbreaking success and set a standard for the industry. Now consider a contrasting example: Kodak. Despite having some of the best talent and technology in the photography industry, Kodak failed to align its teams around the evolving job of customers in the digital age. While some parts of the company explored digital photography, others clung to the legacy film business, creating internal conflicts and a lack of unified direction. This misalignment caused Kodak to lag behind more focused competitors, ultimately leading to its downfall. The importance of organizational alignment is also evident in historical events. During NASA's Apollo program, every team member, from engineers to astronauts to mission control operators, was aligned around a single, clear goal: landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to Earth. This clarity of purpose united thousands of individuals across diverse disciplines, enabling one of the most remarkable achievements in human history. Imagine if NASA had operated without this alignment, with engineers focusing on independent objectives unrelated to the mission's ultimate goal. The program would have likely failed, proving that alignment isn't just a strategy, it's a necessity for achieving extraordinary outcomes. You must apply this principle to your own work by ensuring that your team aligns around the customer's job rather than individual functions or metrics. This requires breaking down silos and fostering collaboration across departments. Every team member must understand how their role contributes to addressing the customer's needs. For example, if you run a software company, your developers, marketers, and customer support staff must all work toward the goal of solving the user's problem, not just delivering isolated features or hitting separate performance metrics. When alignment exists, communication improves, creativity flourishes, and innovation accelerates. The takeaway is clear. Success comes from unity of purpose. Your team must operate as a cohesive unit, fully focused on addressing the customer's job. Aligning around this shared goal dissolves barriers, eliminates inefficiencies, and ensures that every effort contributes to meaningful progress. Commit to fostering alignment in your organization, and you will unlock its full potential to deliver impactful solutions. Lesson 6. Measure what matters. Focusing on the right metrics is essential for innovation and long-term success. Traditional metrics, like sales figures, market share, or profit margins, often tell you what has already happened, but they rarely reveal the deeper truths about customer behavior or future opportunities. Clayton Christensen emphasizes that relying on these lagging indicators can blind organizations to real opportunities for growth and improvement. Instead, you must focus on leading indicators, metrics that track the progress your customers achieve with your product or service. By understanding and measuring what truly matters to your customers, you can align your innovation efforts with their needs and stay ahead of disruptive change. Airbnb is a standout example of a company that excelled by measuring what matters most to its users. While traditional hospitality businesses prioritized metrics like occupancy rates, room service revenues, or loyalty program sign-ups, Airbnb redefined the game by focusing on a more meaningful question. How could it make travelers feel at home anywhere in the world? This insight led the company to design an experience that went far beyond providing a place to sleep. Airbnb's success wasn't built on having the most properties or offering the cheapest rates. It was built on helping customers achieve a deeper goal of authentic, personalized travel experiences. To ensure this focus, Airbnb measured metrics like guest satisfaction, host responsiveness, and the number of unique stays booked, all of which reflected its commitment to enhancing customer progress. By tying its business model to the success of its users, Airbnb created a platform that revolutionized the travel industry. In stark contrast, Blockbuster's failure to adapt highlights what happens when companies rely on outdated metrics. Blockbuster remained fixated on revenues generated from late fees and in-store rentals, ignoring the fundamental shift in customer expectations toward convenience and accessibility. Netflix, on the other hand, measured success by how easily users could discover and watch content. By prioritizing metrics like customer retention, time spent watching, and satisfaction with their recommendation algorithm, Netflix not only disrupted the industry, but also redefined how entertainment is delivered and consumed. Blockbuster's adherence to traditional metrics blinded it to the coming wave of streaming technology, ultimately leading to its downfall. This principle also applies to historical events. In the early 20th century, the Ford Motor Company revolutionized manufacturing by focusing on the metric that mattered most to customers: affordability. Henry Ford didn't measure success by the complexity of his designs or the exclusivity of his vehicles. Instead, he measured how efficiently his production lines could manufacture the Model T to lower costs without compromising quality. By focusing on affordability as the key indicator of progress for his customers, Ford turned automobiles from luxury items into accessible tools for the masses. This relentless focus on what mattered to customers transformed not only his company, but the entire automotive industry. The lesson extends into technology as well. Consider how Google measures its success. While traditional advertising companies might focus on ad impressions or total revenue, Google has always prioritized metrics tied to user satisfaction, such as the relevance of search results and the quality of its ads. This focus ensures that users continue to rely on Google as a trusted source of information, which in turn sustains its advertising business. Companies that focus solely on short-term revenue at the expense of user experience often erode trust and lose their competitive edge, a fate Google has avoided by consistently measuring what matters to its users. You must rethink the metrics you track in your organization. Are you measuring your own success? Or are you measuring your customers' progress? Metrics like sales or market share may look good on paper, but they can mask deeper issues if your customers aren't achieving their goals with your product or service. Instead, define success by how effectively you solve the customer's job, whether it's reducing time spent on a task, increasing satisfaction, or enabling a meaningful transformation. Your metrics must align with what your customers value most. Only by focusing on these leading indicators can you ensure that your business continues to grow and innovate in ways that matter. Your takeaway is straightforward. Measure what reflects your customers' successes, not just your own. When your metrics are tied to their progress, you gain the insights needed to innovate effectively, build loyalty, and stay ahead of disruption. Don't settle for surface-level indicators. Dig deeper to uncover what truly drives value for those you serve. Lesson 7. Constantly refine the job. The jobs customers hire your products or services for will evolve over time. And if you fail to adapt, you risk irrelevance. Innovation is not a one-time event. It's an ongoing process of understanding, adjusting, and improving as your customers' needs change. Clayton Christensen emphasizes this point with the example of Spotify, a company that began as a simple music streaming platform but has continually refined its offerings to stay ahead of shifting consumer expectations. Spotify didn't stop at providing a library of music. It introduced personalized playlists, podcast integration, and algorithmic recommendations to anticipate how people discover and consume audio. By investing in features like Discover Weekly and exclusive podcast content, Spotify expanded its value beyond mere access to music, positioning itself as an essential companion in users' daily lives. This continuous refinement of the job it performs has made Spotify an industry leader, keeping competitors at bay while maintaining customer loyalty. Disney offers another powerful example of constant reinvention. Its theme parks were initially conceived as entertainment venues, providing families with rides, shows, and attractions. But, over the years, Disney transformed these parks into immersive experiences that blend storytelling, technology, and customer interaction. From the creation of themed lands like Star Wars, Galaxy's Edge, to innovations like Magic Bands for seamless guest experiences, Disney's ability to evolve has ensured that its parks remain as magical for modern visitors as they were for earlier generations. Disney didn't stop at entertaining guests. It refined its job to include creating unforgettable, participatory experiences that transport visitors into the worlds they love. This relentless focus on staying relevant has allowed Disney to maintain its position as a leader in entertainment and hospitality. In contrast, companies that fail to refine the jobs they perform often fall behind. Consider Nokia, which was once a dominant force in the mobile phone industry. Nokia initially succeeded by making it durable, user-friendly phones that met customers' needs for reliable communication. However, as the smartphone revolution unfolded, customers' expectations shifted dramatically. Phones were no longer just tools for making calls. They became central to managing digital lives, offering apps, internet access, and seamless connectivity. Nokia's inability to redefine its job in this new context allowed competitors like Apple and Samsung to capture the market, ultimately relegating Nokia to the sidelines. History also illustrates this principle in other industries. Take the automobile industry during the mid-20th century. The Ford Motor Company thrived for decades by producing affordable cars, a job it performed exceptionally well. However, as consumer preferences evolved, buyers began seeking vehicles with better performance, style, and customization options. Companies like General Motors capitalized on this shift by offering a wider variety of models, features, and designs. While Ford initially lagged behind, it wasn't until Ford embraced continuous refinement, investing in new designs and technologies, that it regained its competitive edge. This lesson extends to the tech industry as well. Look at Amazon, a company that has continually refined its job to meet changing customer needs. Starting as an online bookstore, Amazon expanded into an e-commerce giant, then evolved further by offering services like Prime, Alexa, and AWS. Each refinement reflected a deeper understanding of what customers valued most: convenience, speed, and integration. Amazon's relentless adaptation has allowed it to dominate multiple industries, showing how constant refinement is the key to staying indispensable. You must stay vigilant, anticipate changes in your customers' lives, and proactively adapt your offerings to remain relevant. This requires more than just adding features or following trends. It demands a deep commitment to understanding your customers and the evolving context of their decisions. Stagnation is the death of relevance. The job your product performs today may not be the same job your customers need it to perform tomorrow. Always ask yourself, are we solving the right problem? Are we addressing the right needs? Are we delivering value in the way customers now expect? Your takeaway is clear. Refinement is not optional. It's essential. Innovation is a journey, not a destination. Commit to continually improving your understanding of your customers' jobs, and you will not only survive change, you will lead it. Conclusion: Christensen's Competing Against Luck reshapes how you think about innovation by anchoring it to the tangible, observable jobs that customers need done. This framework isn't just theoretical, it's a call to action that demands focus, curiosity, and a commitment to understanding people's lives. Read The Innovator's Dilemma by Christensen for further insights into disruption, or explore Start with Why by Simon Sinek to complement these lessons with a focus on purpose-driven innovation. Remember, success isn't about gambling on the next big idea, it's about designing with intention and delivering progress. Never settle for luck when you can compete with purpose. The end.